broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. This is Grts News live from Banjul. We begin with the tragic news of the passing of one of our most dedicated and aspiring young leaders, Cece Suwanee. Tributes pour in for the late Cece as the Gambia media fraternity, youth and young women leaders mourn her passing. Grts Director General Abdul Toure describes Cece's passing as a tragic loss for the institution and the country at large. Expanding Development Cooperation, a high-level Turkish delegation calls on President Barrow at the Statehouse. Finding ways to implement the Tobacco Control Act, officials and activists draw strategies to combat public smoking. Boosting national weather coverage, Grts inks a major deal with the Department of Water Resources. Also coming up in the program, a viable partnership brings much needed support and 3 new fire trucks for the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services. Elsewhere around the world, the White House says it won't help the impeachment inquiry as it refuses to hand over documents and provide witnesses. Plus, Turkey begins a major offensive against the Kurds. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says Operation Peace Spring is meant to protect the country's border with Syria. All that and much more coming ahead this hour. Thanks for staying with us. Welcome to the news. My name is Jaina Bajalo Marong. We begin with a major effort to expand development cooperation between Ankara and Banjul. Well, we begin the news with this tragic news as Grts mourns the passing of Cece Suwanee, one of the institution's most dedicated and promising reporters. The late Cece died tragically in a horrific accident today. Cece and a group of young Sarahule were said to have been on a mission to promote reconciliation among Soninka communities in Jara. The group included a prominent member of the United Democratic Party, Papa Toure. Papa, who is the Deputy Administrative Secretary of the youth wing of the party, and Cece and others have been very active in the promotion of peace in Sarahule communities. The UDP party spokesperson, Almami Fundingtal, confirmed the passing of the late Papa after an accident as the group embarks on a reconciliation football match in Jara Soma.
It's a great loss to the institution. Grts editor
Suwanee was on her normal Grts assignment duties, reporting on an important event in the country's socio-economic development. It is one of many assignments that she has been undertaking at Grts. Our reporter Famara Baji takes a closer look at Cece's time at Grts.
This is the first major intervention in strengthening the social protection policy and implementation plan since its enactment.
Tributes are pouring in for Grts reporter Cece Suwanee. The late Cece died in a tragic accident, together with a number of others, traveling on board a vehicle en route to Soma, Lower River region. Director General of Grts Abdul Toure said the passing of Cece is a great loss to the institution and to the nation at large. Grts Editor-in-Chief Karabalai Conte says the Grts family is in mourning, describing Cece's passing as tragic. Friends and colleagues of the late Cece expressed sadness over her passing, with many taking to social media platforms to express utter shock and sadness in the wake of the news of her passing. Just 24 hours earlier, Cece was at this high-profile event, presided over by the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia. An exceptional young woman, kind, amiable and respectful, hard-working, and a willing performer of her duties. Cece has always been Lefty's role on her numerous social interventions in impacting the lives of people from diverse places. In this most difficult moment of grief and extreme sadness, the GRTS management and staff extend condolences to the family of the late Cece Suwanee, colleagues in the media, and friends and partners of one of the most industrious young women leader in the country.
This is the
Meanwhile, Safety in Girls Mentorship 2.0 graduation has been postponed in honor of the late Cece Suwanee. A media release from the founder of the Salimatu Foundation for Education says it joins the family and friends of the media icon Cece Suwanee to mourn her passing. Miss Cece Suwanee has been very much supportive of the foundation since inception, one of the few we have always reached out. It says the foundation says it will now schedule the teen mentorship graduation for the 19th October. In other news, in a series of engagements at the State House, His Excellency the President Adama Barrow separately received in audience a delegation of the Turkish Gambia Business Council, senior officers of the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services, and their partners from the UK and the European Union Election Observer Mission. The meetings accorded the President to discuss issues of enhancing cooperation between the Gambia and the delegations. Mamadou Jallo reports on the outcomes of these meetings.
The delegation of the Gambia Turkish Business Council arrived at the State House for a meeting with President Barrow. They arrived in the Gambia early this week for discussions with government officials and the private sector, as well as explore opportunities for investment. Speaking to reporters after the meeting, the Turkish ambassador in the Gambia, His Excellency Ismail Shefa Yushir, described the meeting and its outcome as significant.
There are many areas, as a matter of fact, starting with, port of Banjul port. One of the Turkish construction company is interested in that. And also they are interested in energy projects, solar energy project. One of the company has just, proposed one project to the attention of the Gambian sites, and also they had other projects regarding agriculture and regarding fisheries.
The delegation also comprised the mayor of the Turkish city of Erzurum, who is looking forward to working with his counterpart from the Kanifing municipality to enhance partnership in diverse areas of municipal development.
We have to use this opportunity to strengthen our economical, political issues. As we realize, there is a need of stable energy system in Gambia.
Also at the State House, President Barrow received senior officers of the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services and partners from the United Kingdom. The two sides have had a long-standing relationship which spans decades, with the British side extending training and logistical support to their Gambian counterparts. Shortly after the meeting, the Chief Fire Officer of Avon Fire and Rescue Services, Michael David Crenell, presented the keys of a firefighting vehicle and allied equipment to President Barrow. This, according to the Chief Fire Officer, underscores the excellent relations between the two services and their commitment to serve the people.
Honoured and privileged to be able to have the partnership in the first place, and we continue to support. It's been in place since the early 90s, and what we have seen is that level of support grow, and what's more, we've seen the level of the professionalism of the fire service within Gambia grow during that period. Very much looking forward to the future, because I think that as time goes by, it become more and more strong as a bond and as a partnership, and certainly from our fire authority and my own service commitment, we will continue to support the partnership because it's really important.
The Deputy Chief Fire Officer of the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services, Lamin Sanyang, hailed the fruitful partnership between the two sides, adding that this intervention will greatly enhance the work of the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services.
To expand our operations, we are from these donations here, we are going to operate as far as Wuli, which we have never thought of reaching. But because of these equipments, we'll be able to operate as far as Wuli and save life across the country now. Yes, sir.
Continuing his engagements, His Excellency the President Adama Barrow received in audience the AU Election Observer Mission led by its chief, Miroslav Posh, who are in the Gambia on a follow-up on a series of recommendations submitted to government and other stakeholders in reforming and strengthening the electoral system.
My team from the European Union, External Action Service, and from the delegation of the EU in Gambia, we are here as a follow-up mission to follow up with the recommendations we addressed to the National Assembly and to the government of Gambia in our final report in September 2017. We're addressed not just to the political, but also civil society field, to the media, to the medias. One of them was also about the women's participation, higher women participation, about campaign financing. It is a broad group of recommendations for next elections for 2021.
He expressed the EU's commitment to support the process by working with government and all stakeholders to ensure that the process is free and all-inclusive. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
Still at the presidency, the United Nations Special Representative for West Africa and the Sahel, Mohamed Ibn Chambers, Wednesday paid a courtesy call on the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Touré, at Statehouse. Khadijatou Jallow has more on that.
After a closed-door meeting with the Vice President, Mohamed Ibn Chambers, Special Representative of the Secretary General, United Nations Office for West Africa and Sahel, shared his impression about the role played by the Vice President in this year's West African Sahel Women Open Day Conference.
And since then, West African women from across our region, different countries, have always been in the forefront of conflict prevention and also sustaining the peace. We know the sacrifices of women and their youth and their children in all of this. So, Mr. President sending the Vice President of the Gambia, who is a woman, was a good motivation and inspiration to the women who came from across the region to attend this meeting. And I thought it's appropriate to come and thank Her Excellency the Vice President for her role in this year's commemoration.
The forum that brought together women leaders from West Africa and the Sahel, Ibn Chambers explained, is to discuss the implementation of the UN Security Council Resolution 3025 on women and peace.
This resolution has owed a lot to West Africa, because at the time it was adopted 19 years ago, it was women in West Africa who were fighting for peace in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in the Mano River, who really were the motive behind Security Council saying, wherever there are crises, wherever there is need to prevent crisis, we need a strong role for women.
The UN top official, however, challenged the leadership of the country to continue to provide leadership that will inspire not only women of the Gambia, but across the West Africa and the Sahel as they look forward to observe the 20th UN Security Council Resolution 25 next year.
On this occasion of the 20th anniversary, the Secretary General would like us to commemorate it across the globe. And here in West Africa, we intend to hold a big meeting where we will bring all our women leaders, current leaders, former leaders, future leaders, to send a strong message that the time has come now for our leaders on the whole to demonstrate their strong commitment to women empowerment.
Khadijatou Jallow, reporting for GRTS News.
And now to a massive effort to combat public smoking amidst a collaborative venture between officials and activists. It's all courtesy of the African Network for Information and Action Against Drug RAID. The Gambia, which convened a 3-day capacity building training for staff and volunteers from across the country for a roundtable to draw strategies for intervention. The program, funded by the African Capacity Building Foundation on strengthening human and institutional capacity in the Gambia, focuses on sensitizing participants on the Tobacco Control Act 2016 and the Tobacco Control Regulations 2019. As Usman Mane reports, organizers aim to ensure effective monitoring of the legislation's implementation at the grassroots level.
Established in 1996, RAID the Gambia has been in the battle to combat the use of tobacco and other harmful substances across the country, thus the Tobacco Control Bill 1998 and the ban on advertisement of tobacco products on the media. These achievements were registered not without the commitment of the civil society organizations, in particular RAID the Gambia. This 3 days capacity building training for staff and volunteers of the organization is part of the partnership deal between RAID the Gambia and the African Capacity Building Foundation over the years. In his welcome statement, the Executive Director, RAID the Gambia, Sambujang Conte, underscored the importance of the training, saying volunteers serve as agents of change towards the fight against tobacco and substance abuse.
So you accepted to work with your community without any payment, because we need responsible leaders. Those who are using drug and substance abuse, when we are not there, we have only young people who are drug addicts. What kind of leaders we are going to have in this country? We don't want those type of leaders to lead us. That's why we train people like you to be a change agent. That's why we are working together as a team to make sure that we implement 2016 Tobacco Control Act up to the fullest.
He revealed that the project will also contract consultants to develop manuals on the Human Resource and Administration Board of Directors and Resource Mobilization for the organization. The Director of Health Promotion and Education, Ministry of Health, Mamadou Njai, commended RAID the Gambia for their steadfastness in combating tobacco use over the years and urged volunteers to consolidate the gains registered through community sensitizations. He noted that the training will equip participants on the laws on tobacco and substance abuse in the country.
You'll be doing mainly on monitoring of our activities. Like the civil society will be there to ensure that the Tobacco Control Act 2016 and also the Tobacco Control Regulation 2019, you are well informed about it. Your capacities are built in it. You understand it more to your fingertip, so that when you go out to do monitoring at community level, you can be able to know what we are looking for.
The World Health Organization has been a key partner to RAID the Gambia over the past decades in the crusade against tobacco use. The Health, Communication and Promotion Officer at WHO, Mamadou Gassama, outlined the negative impacts of tobacco and other substances on the health of nations globally.
As I speak to you now, the world is facing human and economic catastrophe as far as tobacco is concerned. Tobacco, we all know, we have been saying it, is responsible for over 8 million deaths every year globally. 16% of an adult population in this country, male, female combined, about 16% smoke cigarettes. And we are now seeing the shift to Cece, which is another dangerous way of consuming tobacco.
In his keynote address, the board chairman, RAID the Gambia, Tamba Eskinte, thanked the African Capacity Building Foundation for the training and assured the organization's commitment to the fight against the use of tobacco and other harmful substances in the Gambia. Usman Mane, GRTS.
The Department of Water Resources and GRTS has inked a major agreement to boost national weather coverage. The venture is earmarked to provide accurate weather information to the public through regular focus on TV. Umijai witnessed the signing ceremony at the television building. She now reports.
Climate change is hugely affecting many countries around the globe, causing huge damages to natural resources. Weather patterns continue to change by the day, resulting to droughts, floods, and other natural disasters. However, the Gambia is no exception to these worst impacts of climate. This being the case, makes it important to have weather information available to the public to help determine future climate expectations.
So the credibility is there. We have the credibility, and as you said, we will be working with you, and we will make sure this MOU will, fulfill our part.
Key to the work of the Department of Water Resources is providing vital weather information to the public. In doing so, it has established a fruitful partnership with the public broadcaster of the Gambia, Grts, over the years. In 2016, they signed an MOU for weather forecasting on television. That partnership will lead to a more important one, with officials of the two parties renewing a better and stronger commitment towards giving precise information on weather, signing another agreement.
With a proper weather package, where a national broadcast can come out and give out details. And from time to time, I'm sure officials from Water Resources will also even come to sit in and to digress on some important aspects surrounding weather that will give our audience an informed decision as to what is happening. And many people are going out sea for fishing. All these things are so important. People think that weather is only confined to whether it rains or not. No, weather goes beyond that.
This partnership is expected to bear huge benefits for both parties, with staff of GRTS set to benefit from a weather reporting and forecasting training, which will set the ground for better weather presentation.
The department doing our utmost best to raise the awareness of the public so that they will be able to put weather information into their daily activities. And we have seen improvement, tremendous improvement on that. After the implementation of the first phase, we realized that the uptake of weather information in daily information in business planning, in farming, and every other activities has increased a lot. At least with this intervention now, helping us to build the capacity of some of our staff, will also put pressure on us, and that will bring a win-win situation.
The signing of the agreement is one step to rolling out accurate weather information to the public. Now the implementation process will kickstart at this point, while working on necessary equipment for a fitting studio where all the broadcasting will be done.
Weather information is very vital and critical. And as the national broadcaster, it is our responsibility to adequately inform our viewers about the trends of weather in the country. There are a lot of issues with regard to climate change. There are a lot of issues with regards to calamities that we see everywhere. And early when it's very vital for people to be aware and know what is happening in the country and even around in the African continent and beyond.
Cognizant of the importance of vital weather information, the two parties wasted no time in signing this contract, whose benefits, if properly implemented, will allow people plan well on their routine with little or no hitches along the way. Ominjai, GRTS.
The School of Journalism and Digital Media of the University of the Gambia is celebrating 5 years of its existence. The commemoration of the school's establishment brought together different personalities and scholars who highlighted the faculty's role in developing young media professionals to serve their country. Fatou Diba reports.
Yes, the UTG School of Journalism and Digital Media has produced scores of young media graduates, helping to operate newsrooms in different media houses across the country. The faculty's contribution to the media job market takes on a new age, as it moves to build a viable cohort of professionals ready to embrace emerging advances in journalism and digital broadcasting. Initiated in October 2014, the school has quickly moved to become the leading institution for the study of journalism in the Gambia. The commemoration of the founding of the School of Journalism and Digital Media conveyed a cross-section of society, with educationalists and prominent figures using the occasion to share their take on advances in the local media spectrum since the school's formation.
The image, the understanding of journalism is changing. 5 years ago, they thought journalism was about buying sixpence papers and producing whatnot and using faulty language on our front pages. But as people move from the center, the citadel, out there into the industry, we begin to see a difference.
4 years
although there is nothing to speak of regarding professional journalism in the Gambia, and to see record of SJDM interns raising the standards on radio, newspapers, and social media is a remarkable achievement.
Founders Day gave a platform to religious and political leaders to speak on the linkages between the media and democracy.
Islam itself introduced journalism in many ways. If you look at Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi in his book called The Journalist, As-Sahafi, he said there the Holy Prophet Muhammad is one of the best journalists on earth. The way he spread the message. And the purpose of a journalist is just three things: to educate, inform, and then predict, at least.
The freedom of the media, as clearly stipulated under Section 207, it shows that you must have free media, free press. And what is the role of that press? It says that that free media and press must have the power, the authority, and the right, the freedom to uphold the principles of the Constitution, but also must uphold the responsibility of government or an accountability of government to the people.
Creating a symbolic relationship between the media, society, and development, Founders Day at the UTG School of Journalism and Digital Media highlight what looks to be a future of energetic engagement for young media professionals. Fatou Deba for Grts News.
And to a viable partnership bringing increased capacity for the fire brigade, the Avon Fire and Rescue Services has presented 3 fully equipped fire engines with protective gears and uniforms worth £60,000 to the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services. Sena Bujany has more.
As your permission to dismiss the guards into the temple. Sir!
Nearly 3 decades of partnership between Avon Fire and Rescue Services, United Kingdom, and sister counterpart in the Gambia continues to yield more dividend in the country with the presentation of 3 fire engines and fire protective gear to the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services. This presentation, according to officials of the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services, will consolidate UK and Gambia relations. The ceremony brought together the Chief Fire Officer of the Avon Fire and Rescue Services, government officials, security personnel, and former fire officers, aimed to capacitize the human and institutional capacity of the fire brigade. Speaking at the ceremony, the Deputy Chief Fire Officer, Gambia Fire and Rescue Services, Lamin Sanyang, reiterates the support accorded to his institution by others over the years.
This partnership trained 10 officers in Avon, which I'm part of. The chief officer told me, Sangdao, told me that I must express and tell you that he still need that training pattern. Can you please help us see that training continue again?
Firefighters need the most when it comes to fulfilling their job. Hence, these well-equipped fire engines will serve its intended purpose, explains the Councillor of Avon and Trustee of GAFSIP, Carol Johnson.
I'm here today because I want to remind you how excellent you are, of the excellent determination that you have shown, your excellent commitment, and the excellent endeavours that you have shown to prevent, protect, and respond to the community needs. You are simply, in my eyes, excellent, and I want you to know that from all the way from the UK.
Fire and Rescue Services is a noble profession, says the Chief Fire Officer of Avon Fire and Rescue Services, Mick Cronell. He urged for more collaboration between the Gambia and Avon UK.
We're aware of the history. The history goes back to the early 1990s. We're aware of the growth. But I think, as Carol quite rightly said, I think there's a great opportunity here for us to grow even better and even stronger in terms of striving for that excellence.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of the Interior, Usman Cece, on behalf of the Minister, recognised the support that GAFSIP has been rendering to the Gambia Fire Services over the years.
This partnership, through the provision of appliance and equipment, has enhanced
the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services capability to respond relatively well to all small and major incidences.
As the official handing over took place of the fire engines, officials inspected the fire engines to ascertain its effectiveness for better service delivery. Zainab Wijang for GRTS News.
Well, we go back to the demise of our dear Cece Suwanee. Our reporter in the Lower River region, Alhaji Mbai, visited the accident scene and provides us this latest update from Jara Soma.
Yes, mourns the death of its staff, Cece Suwanee. She was involved in a car accident this afternoon. The fatal accident claimed the lives of two other individuals identified as Papa Toure and Sekou Toure, while two others were seriously injured. The accident a double cabin pickup BJL 2832, believed to belong to Honorable Fode Drame, National Assembly member of Tumanna. It crashed around Kiang Junior in Lower River region on Wednesday between the hours of 4 and 5 p.m. The said vehicle was coming from Banjul heading to Jara Soma, where the victims were going to attend the final of the Suwanee football tournament. What was anticipated to be a mouth-watering final turned to be shocking. The death of Cece and the two others left everyone in shock. Eyewitnesses and police who were at the scene explained that the tire of the vehicle busted and it left the road and somersaulted after hitting a tree trunk nearly 50 meters away from the road. The late Cece will be remembered as a dedicated and hard-working young journalist and an activist who was devoted to promoting sports and women affairs. She was also an A-grade student who was pursuing her bachelor's degree in journalism at the University of the Gambia. Alhaji Mbai, GRTS News.
Well, the news of the passing of the late Cece Suwanee sent shock waves in the newsrooms of both the GRTS radio and TV. Colleagues were left in tears as they recount the numerous memories they shared with Ms. Suwanee, describing her as a special talent. Our principal producer, Ms. MS Momodu S. Jallo, spoke with a number of them. Here is an excerpt.
In the newsroom, the mood is that of somber, and staff are devastated as we come to terms with the loss of our dear colleague, a sister, a friend, and one of the promising reporters within this newsroom, Cece Suwanee, who passed away Wednesday afternoon in a tragic car accident. Cece's death has left the entire country devastated, especially her colleagues she has been working with. Well, tributes have been pouring in from Gambians within and outside of the country. And here at GRTS, where she used to work, the staff are devastated and are really finding it hard to come to terms with the loss of a young lady who has been very, very inspiring. Well, leading the tributes here in GRTS is the Director General of the Gambia Radio and Television Services, Abdul M.K. Toure.
With utter shock and dismay that the management and staff of GRTS learned of the demise of Cece Suwanee, a very illustrious daughter of this country and also a very prolific writer. Because if you know how Cece came to GRTS, she started it on a very, 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 insignificant beginning. And today, she has reached a stage where she is acclaimed everywhere. All this is because of the hard work. She started as a Sarhira announcer, and she was able to prove herself to become a fully fledged reporter on both radio and television. And she also does a lot of programs with regards to women and youth issues. And that is something that we think, is a very important thing, in the development of her career. But all of a sudden, it just, happened this way, that she had to succumb to the hands of fate.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To Allah we come from, and to the Almighty we shall all return. I would say tonight is the most difficult moments of my life as a news presenter. Entering the newsroom with all that flair and glow on my face, ready to present the news, just to be given that shocking news, that blow from Yero, that we have lost one of our dear Cece. I didn't have much of an encounter with her, but the little that I came across with her, I would treasure those moments, because I've seen Cece as a young, dedicated, aspiring woman, full of hope, somebody who had a dream, somebody who wanted to be there, somebody who had a goal. And unfortunately, this is where it has all ended. We don't have the power in our hands. It's the Almighty Allah who says yes, and we have to say yes. So we pray for Cece and those that lost their lives during this tragic accident. May Jannatul Firdaus be their eternal resting place. It's difficult for all of us, for Grts. It's a moment that we will live to remember.
I am still in shock. I am still in disbelief. I know a lot of people are shocked, but then I would say I am really, really hit hard by the sad news that we all received this afternoon. I was with Cece in the morning. I had an event at the University of the Gambia, and then she came to attend that event. She was there. I saw her. We even had a chat downstairs at the law faculty. And then after 15 minutes, that was like 1:30, she said to me, I'm leaving for Jarasoma. And I told her, what are you going to do in Jarasoma? And she told me exactly what she's going to do there. In fact, she told me I should have been there since 8 a.m., but it's because of your event. That's why I couldn't go. I had to attend this event before I leave for Jarasoma. And that is how we've been. That is the way I've lived with Cece at the radio. We always do everything together. We travel together, just like you see. I've just been browsing my phone, looking at our pictures. We traveled together in Morocco. This is myself and her. We're in Morocco, and then from Morocco we traveled to a lot of other countries, and these are some of the pictures that she took of me. We were here, this is Morocco, and we traveled to many other countries where we attended a lot of forums. I can't do anything more than to pray for her, for Allah to grant her the highest Jannah and forgive all our sins. It's really hard for me.
Definitely a tragic loss for Grts, for the country, for the continent, and for the entire women's empowerment and girls' agenda platform worldwide. Cece is one of the most determined, adventurous, and really motivated young people I've ever worked with anywhere. She has drive. She has a passion and creativity level that's unmatched. I remember her coming in from radio to talk to me about creating a Sarahule news magazine platform, Mefa Hamunde. And within a couple of days, we were able to run this. She was there with Fatumata Simaha, and they just blew away the whole platform. It was fantastic.
Deaths in general are painful, but that of a youth folk, an enterprising youth folk, a determined youth folk like Cece, is a big loss, not only to her family, but to the entire country, to the journalistic fraternity, and Grts in particular, especially the newsroom which I had.
Well, here in the newsroom,
Well, Cece will be surely missed, and GRTS will have a special program on the AM show to remember Cece's legacy. Child Fund the Gambia has donated an assortment of materials to the child welfare unit of the Gambia Police Force. The donated items, which include office desktops, air conditioners, and printers, among others, were presented at the office of the Police Commissioner at the Kanifing Division. Majany Barrow was there and now reports.
Child Fund is a non-governmental organization engaged in promoting the welfare of children. Their interventions in the Gambia over the years cuts across all sectors of the economy, such as health, education, agriculture, and the provision of microcredit facilities, amongst others. Their latest donation was to the Child Welfare Unit of the Gambia Police Force, who are equally involved in the business of child protection. Aliu Mar of Child Fund said they are pleased to partner with the Gambia Police Force, especially on matters relating to children.
Fund as an organization, we have a mandate and we also have a limit. It's true that CSOs are very close to the communities. We identify protection concerns that are affecting children at the level of the communities. But we go up to a certain stage and we are limited because we don't have all that it takes, we don't have all the expertise to continue with the cases of children. So that's why we need the cooperation of the police at some point in time. We need the cooperation of other actors, other sectors at some point in time. In fact, we may not have all that it takes, not all the funding, not all the expertise, but I'm sure if we are able to collaborate, we continue our level of cooperation.
Police officials hailed the gesture by Child Fund, saying it will further enhance their work on child protection issues. According to Commissioner Khalilun Jai, the donated items would be put to good use.
Gambia Police Force is very pleased to receive this gift from your institutions, and be rest assured that they are going to be used judiciously, as it is destined for.
Yamundar Jan Juve is the Chief Superintendent at the Gender and Child Welfare Unit of the Gambia Police Force. She assured her unit's resolve in ensuring that children are safer and fully protected.
The unit was established in 1993 and is working for and with the children. If Child Fund the Gambia as a partner for the comfort of officers working in the unit is a move in the right direction.
The latest donation by Child Fund the Gambia to the welfare unit of the Gambia Police Force is expected to make a difference in the lives of officers and the children they are protecting. Majani Barrow, GRTS News.
We'll take our first break and the international news shortly after this. Welcome back. The former Colombian president is facing new charges. The former president is accused of bribing witnesses to testify the fabricated accusation for a smear campaign led by left-wing politician Ivan Cepeda. And now, before we end this news bulletin, a recap of the day's top stories. GRTS mourns the passing of one of the most dedicated and aspiring young reporters, Cece Suwanee. Tributes are pouring in for the late Cece as the Gambia media fraternity, youth activists, and young women leaders mourn her passing. GRTS's Director General Abdul Toure has described the late Cece's passing as a tragic loss for the institution and the country at large. And expanding development cooperation, a high-level Turkish delegation has called on President Barrow at the State House. Finding ways to implement the Tobacco Control Act, officials and activists have drawn strategies to combat public smoking. Boosting national weather coverage, GRTS has inked a major deal with the Department of Water Resources. A viable partnership is bringing much-needed support and 3 new fire trucks for the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services. Elsewhere around the world, the White House has said it won't help the impeachment inquiry as it refuses to hand over documents and provide witnesses. Plus, Turkey has begun a major offensive against the Kurds. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says Operation Peace Spring is meant to protect the country's border with Syria. Well, that's all in this edition of the news. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our interesting programs. Thanks for the pleasure of your company.